What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. It's week 11 of fantasy football. Make sure you guys check out fantasycouch.com/store to get you some cool fantasy couch gear, and also use the hashtag #InTheCouchWeTrust on social media. Now here are the waivers for week 11. I separated the quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers into two tiers for this week. The top 5 quarterbacks I do like are Nick Foles and Case Keenum, both no-brainers. Nick Foles is worth a pickup even long-term. Even with the chance of Michael Vick returning as a starter, he's still worth the risk to take as a waiver wire pickup. We've seen Case Keenum transform this Houston Texans offense. They now have opponent pass attack, and his performance speaks for itself. My gut says Carlson Palmer is going to have a good game. He has a good matchup, and I'd start him as a bye-week fill-in if I had to. You're taking a little bit of risk when you start Campbell or Glennon this week, but you could do a lot worse at quarterback than those two guys. And if you're in a deep league or a league that starts 2 quarterbacks, check out some of these guys. Big Ben denied the rumors of him wanting to trade out of Pittsburgh. Pay attention to the Dwayne Bowe situation. He was arrested recently this week, and if for some reason he does not play, this is going to affect the passing attack of the Chiefs. Now he hasn't put up big numbers this year, but he does draw coverage and will have an effect on that Kansas City offense. The first 6 running backs on this list are all must pickups. They should be picked up in every league. Now there's a huge debate going on whether to pick up Brian Leonard or Bobby Rainey. With the injury to Doug Martin and Mike James, both these guys are viable pickups. My gut says Bobby Rainey. He has more upside, so go with Rainey over Leonard. But you can make a good argument for both these guys. Robert Turbin and Dennis Johnson are good considerations in deeper leagues. Remember that Ben Tate is also injured. He has broken ribs, so Johnson isn't that bad of a pickup. The 6 guys on this list are wide receivers that I do like. If you weren't able to get a wide receiver like Riley Cooper, who I previously mentioned, check out some of these guys. Percy Harvin might be coming back this week, but he is a risky start. If you can hold off to start him week 13, I would go ahead and do that. Remember, the Seahawks have a bye week 12. Greg Little, a guy who was probably drafted in your league, and now he may be on the waivers. I think he's a good pickup. Hankerson is a sneaky start this week going up against Philadelphia. He could be a good bye week fill-in for your team. And here are some more wide receivers if you're really desperate at this position. I projected Michael Crabtree to be a top 20, maybe even a top 15 wide receiver this year, if not for his injury. A lot of people are picking him up off waivers, and I really like this wideout, but he's not going to be a must-start right away. We should probably see how he does his first couple games back, but predicting into the future, week 16, he is going to be a must-start, and that's the fantasy Super Bowl for most of you guys when the Niners go up against the Falcons. Both teams should be playing really hard that game and trying to score a lot of points. Also pay attention to Nate Burleson. Once he's fully healthy, he's going to go ahead and resume that number 2 wide receiver role and get some passes thrown his way when Megatron is quadruple covered. Even though the Vikings are going up against Seattle, one of the best defenses in the league, John Carlson is a great sneaky start if you really need a tight end this week. Brent Selleck is an unlikely but a good start this week. We could see a really high-scoring game between the Eagles and the Redskins. Delaney Walker is not a bad pickup this week, but he's going against the Colts. The Colts are really good at guarding the tight end position, but he's worth consideration. He still gets a good amount of targets thrown his way. Here are 8 team defenses / special teams that you can start this week. I really like the Saints defense. If Vernon Davis is out, he had a concussion, so make sure you check on his status. I do not like the Saints defense if Vernon Davis looks healthy and is ready to go. And here are the top 3 kickers on waivers. I like Robbie Gould as a short-term and long-term kicker. Garrett Hartley is solid, obviously, in that Saints offense. And Nick Folk, I project him to put up a ton of points this week as your kicker. These guys are tough to predict how they're going to do, but someone's got to do it. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at FantasyCouch. Let's see what questions we have on Twitter this week. Our first question, probably my last question this year, was just offered Alfred Morris and Eric Decker for Marshawn Lynch in a non-PPR redraft league. I will make the playoffs. Your thoughts? I really like Alfred Morris as a runner. In PPR leagues, he lets you down a little bit. He doesn't put up a ton of touchdowns. He doesn't get a whole lot of catches. But in a non-PPR league, go ahead and make this trade. The only factor I'd consider in this trade is that you're getting 2 players and you're giving up 1, so you're going to probably have to drop somebody. So as long as you have at least 1 droppable player, go ahead and make this trade. And our last question, which players have a great fantasy playoff schedule? I can try and trade last minute. Thanks for the advice this year. I'm 8-2. First of all, I want to thank you for all the support you've been showing for the couch. Remember, hashtag in the couch we trust. And now to answer your question, I like a lot of players from the NFC East. So that's players from the Redskins, Cowboys, Eagles, and the Giants. But another team that has some really good matchups during that time is the Falcons. If you need a quarterback, look at Matt Ryan. He has some good matchups week 13, 14, and 15. And that's all the time we have this week. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube videos. Pay attention to the video so you guys can win that fantasy football Super Bowl. And I'll see you guys next week.